So the question is, where are we networking today?
I know what you're thinking. What the heck is this video all about? Now, if you don't know me, my name's Brett Sheldon. I'm the founder of Your Business World, and this is the first video in our Resurrected Business Networking Review series. In these videos, quite simply, I'll be reviewing networking events that I'm attending myself, with the primary aim of helping you to get more bang from your buck or from your networking efforts, as well as showcasing events that, quite frankly, don't really get the publicity or the credit that they deserve. Now, as part of the video, I'll be not only just scoring the event, but I'll also be giving you some information of what you could actually expect to find should you go to that event itself or to other events of that kind of nature, as well as some tips of what I do to make sure that I actually get some, well, basically maximum bang for my buck, and also what I would do perhaps differently in the future to obviously enhance my experience. So let's get down to it then. Where was I? Well, I actually went to Breakfast at Painters. Now, I was there on the 31st of January 2024, and you've not heard of this event before, there's probably a good reason, because it was actually their very first event hosted by Catherine Rolls at their offices in Kidderminster. Now, it was completely free to attend, pastries and refreshments were provided, and booking was operated by a reservation and confirmation given shortly after system, which is a little bit unusual these days, but I fully understand why they did that, because they need to control numbers. They had no idea how many would be coming to that first event. The event format was really simple, with open networking that you could also call mingling, and basically a presentation from a lady called Sophie Blount, who somebody I've never ever met before, and she was talking about what she's done with social media for a company called, or an organisation called the Grace Kelly Cancer Trust, which is a charity for children and the family of basically dealing with childhood cancers. And that talk was really, really good because it gave some really valuable insight in some of the things that we could be doing as business owners to getting far more traffic via social media channels. And for one, I really enjoyed that. As for the event itself, there was in the region of around 16 or so people, which despite the room being able to hold far more, it didn't make people feel too lost in there. There was a good atmosphere in there, and the delegation was mainly made up of professionals, mainly from the legal and financial sectors, which isn't surprising given that painters is a legal practice. And on the whole, it was really well run. You were made to feel welcome, and Catherine did a fantastic job as host, despite her nerves being her first event. Obviously, it's so endearing, people are so nervous. One little thing to be aware of is that because painters' offices are based at the council house, I wasn't quite sure where to go because there was no, well, basically they're not allowed to have signage on there. Catherine, if you are watching this video, that may be something you want to address when you send out the confirmations exactly where people need to go. So let's get on to the scoring then. So if you haven't seen my previous video, basically scoring is being done on 5 factors. Because of the diversity of potential events that you can go to these days, large events, small events, in-person, online, formal, informal, it's very, very difficult to get a scoring system that can work across all areas. So these are the 5 things that I'm actually scoring on. The first of all is value, and that's both in terms of monetary and whether it's actually worth your time to attend, engagement. After all, if you're going to an event, you want to speak to people, numbers, and this isn't to get hung up on size, because quite frankly, some of the best events I've ever been to are some of the smallest ones. But what I'm interested in is, were the numbers right for the format, venue, or platform? The fourth one is, once again, this is difficult to explain, but it's just feeling. Those who are regular networkers will actually understand this, because it's all down to how you're treated by the host. If it was clicky, that je ne sais quoi, you can't really put your finger on, but you know whether it feels right or wrong. And the big one is whether I would actually return. Okay, at the end of the day, would I go back? Okay, so that's a big thing on that. Now, in each case, I'll be scoring either 0, 1, or 2, with a grand total given out of 10. Now, that should be quite simple, but this is the first one, so let's see how it goes. So how do Breakfast at Painters do? Let's start with value. Well, this is a free event. There were breakfast pastries, which were very nice, even though I am on a diet, and refreshments were provided. There's free parking, which is always great, and without giving any spoilers, you know what, it was actually well worth me attending. So when it comes to value, painters get 2 out of 2. Next, we move on to engagement. Now, This is a very simple event format, tried and tested, where basically you basically turn up, you grab coffee, you mingle, and then there's a presenter. There was plenty of time to mingle at the start and afterwards. I got a chance to speak to plenty of people, which is always great. And with the speaker, there's also a chance to engage there as well. So again, 2 out of 2. So let's move on to numbers. Now, this was Painter's first event, and it's certainly the first event run by Catherine. And 16 or so people to an event of this type is absolutely fine, but I would have liked to have seen a few more, and there's certainly the capacity to do so. But like I say, this is their first event. You can't expect miracles when obviously you're getting the word out there for the first time. So I'm sure over time this event will grow, and that'll also help the diversity of the business types. At the end of the day, this is going to be a great event. It's certainly one to watch, but from a scoring perspective, I'm scoring this 1 out of 2. So let's talk about feeling. This the awkward one to visualize and explain. Now, my welcome was fantastic. The host and speaker were great. There was actually nothing not to like, even though there was a number of lawyers in the room. Now, when it comes down to this feeling, there wasn't quite the buzz there that I know will come. And to be fair, that's expected. It's new. There's that little bit of nervousness about it, and that was actually showed. But it was for a first event. So I'm actually quite jealous. If I could wind the clock back to when I first ran mine, I would have been far more nervous, and the experience wouldn't have been anywhere near as good as what Catherine did. So this is actually really, really good in terms of that. But there's massive room for improvement that I know will actually come over time. Now, this might sound harsh, and you please feel free to disagree with me in the comments. But in terms of scoring, I'm going to give this a 1 out of 2, and I'm really looking forward to see where this will go. And the big one, would I go back? Absolutely, in a heartbeat. I absolutely love what Painters and Catherine are trying to do here, bringing the local and the little bit further afield business communities together. This is an event that's certainly going to evolve and develop over time, and it's something that if you haven't been to before and you are in the West Midlands, it's something I'd be asking Catherine to do, is to add you to the mailing list so you can be in the queue for the next time they host it. I have put links to Catherine's LinkedIn profile in the description. So what I'd be doing, if this is something of interest, I'd certainly be reaching out. I think she said she was going to be running the aim is to run them quarterly, but has to be put onto the mailing list for it. It's certainly worthwhile going. So total score is a very, very credible 8 out of 10. Catherine, you should be really proud of yourself. You've done a fantastic job, and if your bosses are watching this, you deserve a pay rise, and I'm really looking forward to next time if you'll have me. Right then, so I promised to give some tips to help you get more bang for your buck from an event like this. So with this event type, which is quite standard with, like I say, open networking or mingling and a talk, the first thing I would do is to prepare ahead of time. Now, Catherine and Painters and any organisation running these kind of things will be talking about these events on social media before the event happens. So I would be actually tracking these down. This is something I actually did do personally. Basically track them down ahead of time, start getting involved in the comments and the chat on whatever platforms they're going to be on. In this case, it would be LinkedIn, and that would be probably the case in most cases. But also that gives you also valuable insight to which delegates will actually be going, because in the comments they'll be saying, oh, I'm looking forward to seeing you, and that kind of thing, which if you can start getting engagement ahead of time is a really good way to communicate. I'd also, actually better get this out here, I'd also work ahead with a little bit of technology. Now, because this event was primarily professionals, so suits, should we call them, there's been a move as of late, I've noticed, where people are moving away from the traditional business cards to using LinkedIn and scanning functions for passing on details. Now, I personally don't agree with this, but it's something that, whether you agree or not, it's happening. So what I would do is make sure you have got the LinkedIn app on your phone. When you use it, you go to search, you click on this thing at the basically a little bit at the top where you type in the details, and it gives you a little link to a QR code. That's mine. So basically make sure you know how to do that, and basically get ready so you've got that in your pocket before you go. So when it comes to the event itself, standard mingling rules apply really. So first of all, talk about the problem that you solve rather than just what you do, and also talk about the people that you work with. It's far better to get conversations that way than trying to put some kind of random pitch to somebody who's not looking to buy. Okay. Now, if you're nervous about working a room, don't worry. A really simple tip is to stand by wherever the tea and coffee is being served. People will come to you, offer to make them a drink, and that's how conversations start. Okay. Now, within this kind of format as well, there's also a really valuable engagement opportunity that a lot of people either forget about or are scared to get involved in. And that whenever there's a speaker, there's normally opportunities to ask questions either during or after. Now that's a brilliant way for people to get basically a bit of attention on you. So if you can actually ask some relevant questions, drop in there what you do yourself. Something I always mention is that I deal with an awful lot of small businesses. That brings attention to you, and then when the event comes towards the end, people will generally come towards you if you are the kind of person they want to speak to. And then after the event, make sure you get involved again with the social media feeds. In this case, Catherine and Sophie were talking about how great the event was. Why not start jumping into the conversations after? Following up isn't always about, oh, hi Dave, I met you at an event, can I come and sell you my shit? It's not. It's about building relationships. It's about creating these conversations. Yes, certainly follow up with people you want to speak to there, but also remember you can get a lot more exposure through other people's channels, and you can build basically relationships with people who wasn't even there. So please don't forget, after the event is just as important as being there. So that basically brings me to the end of this networking review. I hope you found it useful. Do you agree with what I've said? Do you disagree with what I said? I'd really welcome what your thoughts are, and I'm more than happy for you to put any suggestions in the comments. Now, before I finish, basically, if you like this content and you would like to basically be notified about future networking reviews, or even the end of month, league table, what do we call it? Basically, ranking is what we've done. Basically, if you could subscribe to the channel and click that little bell icon, that would be absolutely fantastic. Then you'll be notified when these next reviews drop. And obviously, if you can show us a little bit of love with a bit of a thumbs up on there as well. Let's face it, everybody on YouTube asks you to do the same. Now, my aim is to review an event every week of some degree on there. So this is your opportunity to help shape this channel. Because are there any events that you would like me to go and review? Are there some events perhaps that you go to on a regular basis and you'd like some tips of how you can get, like say, more bang for your buck? Or are you even an event host yourself and like to get a bit of publicity? Either way, I'm happy to help where I can. Put suggestions in the comments and I'll follow up from there. So as they say, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.